I have been talking about drug addiction. The first, well, actually, the second, we talked about stages of progression towards chemical dependency. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to beat drug addiction, some of the factors that's related to how to beat drug addiction. The first thing we need to understand is that drug addicted people are humans more than anything else. You're human before you get on drugs, you're human while you're on drugs, and you're human when you come off drugs. So we hear people talk about drug addicts, these drug addicts. Well, drug addicts are people who are in a weakened state, human beings who are in a weakened state. So when we think about, a drug addicted person, that person is a human being and has any of the qualities that any other human beings have. We have intelligence. We have the ability to use reason. We have the ability to use logic. We can deal with dangerous situations. All of these things we can do. We can problem solve. But if my brain is drugged extensively, like it is when someone becomes full-blown addicted to drugs, you know, when your brain is drugged, it's weakened. I just took a definition out of the dictionary about drunkenness, but it's all related. Drunkenness, inebriation, drug brain, it's all related. Now try to remember, there's a difference between the drug brain, which is dulled and out of control, and the sober brain. That's what the dictionary says about drunkenness. Loss of control over faculties. So that means I lose the ability to perform actions such as using my intelligence, my ability to use reason and logic, any natural or specialized skill. So as human beings, we have a highly developed brain with abstract thought. So that means I can figure things out. I can problem solve, which is what we've always been able to do. Drug addiction does not take away that ability permanently, only temporarily. So we need to understand that all of these myths about what drug people can and cannot do, that needs to go out the window. You take any human being, anybody, any famous person, any genius, doctor, scientist, whatever, astronaut, rocket scientist, and drug their brain on a daily basis with high levels of intoxicants, shooting 10 bags of heroin 3 or 4 times a day. Some of my patients have said that they drink a liter of vodka a day. Drug your brain for 1 day, 2 days, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Imagine the change that's going to take place in your brain. I've told people many times, you take a person who's strong, healthy, intelligent, and talented, and you don't see that person for 5 years. And during those 5 years, that person has a psychotic break. You will see a different person. You take a person who's strong and intelligent and talented, and you don't see that person for 5 years. And during that 5 years, that person becomes addicted to heroin, addicted to alcohol, addicted to fentanyl, Placidil, drug that hasn't been around for a long time, but it was a very powerful drug, crack. You will see a different person. Because what happens when a person becomes addicted to drugs, and I talked about it last week, in the stage of progression, there's a creation takes place. Part of creation means bringing into existence. So we're going to see a totally different person when they become addicted to drugs. But this is a human being, a person who has been taken into a weakened state. And how we know that that's true is because there are millions of people who've had very serious drug addiction problems and has been able to overcome it. Like me, for instance, heroin addiction, intravenous heroin, 12 and a half years, alcohol every day, all day, taking pills, all kinds of stuff. Cool. So 46 years of sobriety tells me, and should tell anyone else, that it's a different person when you stop using drugs. You're not that same individual because the brain is no longer drugged and the brain has been transformed back into its natural state. So when a person comes off drugs, the first thing a person has to do when they come off drugs is to be detoxified. You have to be detoxified. You cannot possibly overcome drug addiction if you're not detoxified from the drug, because the brain is still drugged. The drug is still in control. It has the authority over your brain to a certain point. And I mentioned that last week, because even when you're in your worst state of addiction, some people can say, you know what, I'm going into detox. What happened to the power of addiction when the person says, I want to go into detox? It goes into detox. Not just saying, but what happens? You know, where did all that power go of the addiction? Human beings are the most powerful things on this planet. Not heroin, not crack, not alcohol, not benzos, not we are the most powerful things on this planet. So when we make up our minds to do something, we cannot allow, if we're going to beat this fellow, we cannot allow our addiction to define who we are. So once I come off the drug, I know my addiction has had me 5, 10, 15 years. I decided to go into detox and rehab. Once I go into detox and the drugs start coming out of my body and mind, I'm going to get stronger every second, every minute, every hour that goes by. I'm getting stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now, all the things I'm talking to you guys about, I go much more in depth in the book. Drug addiction and the most powerful enemy against it, and recovering sober mind. So I'm going to show you a copy of it in a few minutes. So once we go into detox, my body's starting to heal, my brain is starting to heal. I'm getting stronger every second, every minute, every hour, and my addiction is getting weaker every minute, every second, every hour, even though I don't feel it. And I can't feel it right away because the damage that the drugs have done is starting to, the damage is starting to heal. But I don't feel it because I'm still sick when I go into detox. Still sick, mentally and physically. If I don't feed my addiction, he's going to die. Because when I go into that detox, he's trying to survive inside of me. Oh man, you have to go through this. Just go get a shot of dope. Just go get a drink. And many of my patients in the past, over 45 years, have got into that mindset and decided to leave detox and go back out. I remember myself and my director, Sheila McGee, wonderful, very highly intelligent woman. She was the director of the program that I worked for at Rockland County Good Samaritan Hospital, Detox and Rehab. And we had a patient in my office. He wanted to leave. He was on heroin. I said, look, you're in detox. This is the best place in the world for a drug addicted person. It's to be in detox. We talked to him. He said, no, I'm leaving. I got to go. So he allowed his addiction to lead him out the door. He didn't have to. He had a choice. But he wasn't willing to go through the healing process. In the beginning of the healing process is going to be difficult, but not as difficult as it would be if you didn't have anything in your system, because we would give patients methadone, or different drugs to help them out, to detox them from. Patient left. The next day, his mother called us and told us that he overdosed and died. So if a person isn't willing to fight for their life, who can fight for you? There's no one else that can fight. You have to fight for your life. And as a human being, when we fight for our life against drug addiction, because once I come off that drug and I'm in detox, I'm in control. But I need to know that I'm in control. I need to know that I have authority over my life now. Yes, I'm healed. I'm going through some changes. I feel depressed. I feel some withdrawal symptoms physically, mentally. Craving is there. All of those normal symptoms I have to go through in order to beat this addiction. And when I come off the drugs, that post-acute withdrawal, we call it, where I have mood swings. Some days I'm depressed for no reason. Some days I'm irritable for no reason. Some days I'm angry for no reason. All of this is normal for the healing process. So we need to understand that before we go into detox. We need to know I'm going to go through some changes, but those changes will end. So as long as I'm working on myself and I'm not feeding my addiction, slowly, those changes of withdrawal, mentally, physically, post-acute withdrawal, is all going to end as long as I don't feed him. It might take a month, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, 2 years, however long it takes. As long as I don't feed my addiction, he's going to die. And that's what we need to understand clearly when we decide I no longer want to live this life of a drug addicted person. No longer. That's it. When I make up my mind, I'm already prepared in my mind to fight for my life. That's the only way I'm going to beat it. Because, the brain has been trained. We talked about it before. The brain has been trained to react to the commands of addiction. Part of training means to guide the growth and mental development of a person. So slowly, when I talked about, stages of progression towards chemical dependency last week, how slowly the addiction, you know, builds up a stronghold inside of you. You don't even realize that you got a problem. And then over time, sometimes it takes people 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years to become totally addicted. As we use it recreationally, then use purposely. Some people can do that for a long time. But eventually, in most cases, you become addicted. Slavery. The worst, I can't think of anything worse for a human being than become addicted to drugs. It's a form of slavery. It's self-destructive. It tortures you mentally. It changes all of your values and morals. I just looked at one of my notes because during my 45 years of counseling, if I gave a lecture and a good thought came to my mind, I'd write it down. If I ran a group and a good thought came to my mind, I'd write it down. If I was in the individual session and a good thought came, I'd write it down. This is one of the things I wrote from 220, 2017. A person can have enormous strength, but feel so small in his mind that his decisions will display weakness and stupidity. This is how drug addiction train and condition the mind, can make a highly intelligent, courageous man believe he is foolish, weak, and has no control, no courage to fight his addiction. This type of thinking established a belief that one is a failure, hopeless, worthless, and creates a persistent pessimistic outlook on life. Now, I've worked with scientists and lawyers and doctors as my patients. Brilliant, genius people, strong, intelligent, but they're in a weakened state by the drugs. So when they're in this weakened state, they'll tell you, a lot of them will tell you, man, I don't think I can stop. Here you take a person who graduated from high school, went to medical school, all of the work that's in medical school, graduated, was an intern, feeling great about himself, strong and healthy, and the drugs. He started feeding himself with the drugs. And as time went on, the values and morals start to change. I no longer see the job as important. I no longer see the wife as important. I no longer see the children, the car, the house. The most important thing to me is the drug. This is how the drugs condition the brain. Part of condition means to change the nature of a person. So now all of these things that I wanted naturally, because one of mankind's common human needs is to reach what's called self-actualization. All of us want to see how far up we can go, not how far down. When I become full-blown addicted, I'm not thinking about how far up I can go, how far I am up. My brain is trained to react to the commands of addiction. That means if I have to neglect my job, if I have to neglect my family, if I have to neglect my health, it doesn't matter, because now I'm under the power of the drug. So as a human being, what we must do is prepare ourselves for that battle. We'll always win. If my addiction is coming at me 100%, and I'm coming at him 100% sober in a weakened state in detox, I will win. So I have to refuse to cooperate with any relapse thought. That has to be the focus in my mind. Now, in the book, I go in depth about how to work all these things through. So what we want to do, and I just had a copy of my book here. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, the name of the book is Drug Addiction, the Most Powerful Enemy Against It, a Recovering Sober Mind. So we want to make sure that if you have an addiction problem, or you have family members have addiction problem, if you're at school, college, elementary school. You want to get this book so our young people, in reference to prevention, can know exactly what's going to happen. Just like I explained last week in stages of progression, how it starts. And if a young person tries a drug, 13, 14, 15, and they like it, it's very easy for them to continue because usually nothing bad happens. I've known people that died the first time they got high, you know. So we want to have our young people understand this is a deadly, dangerous way of living, and never let anybody talk us into trying a drug. So in the book, Drug Addiction, the Most Powerful Enemy Against It, A Recovering Sober Mind, I go in depth on how to prevent drug addiction through that stage of progression when we learn about it, and how to beat it. So now we're going to be, from this point on, we started today talking about different aspects of recovery. We're going to continue to do that. So you can purchase my book at J. Harris Westwood Books with an S Publishing.com. J. Harris J. Harris dot Westwood Books Publishing.com. Also, you can purchase on Amazon.com or Barnes and Noble. All right. So we're going to talk more about how to beat drug addiction as we go on. I will be back shortly, maybe tomorrow or the next day, and talk more about how we're going to beat this deadly problem that's destroying Americans, hundreds of Americans every day, hundreds. As we know, 2017, we had 64,000 deaths. 2016, I'm sorry, 64,000 deaths, overdoses. In 2017, 72,000. 2017, 72,000. So 2018, I didn't get the stats from that yet, but I will be talking about these as we go along. All right. So J. Harris dot Westwood Books with an S Publishing.com. I will be talking to you soon.